minutes, everybody. I now recognize Mr. Garcia for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it's pretty clear that Republicans have called us in today to oversee one of the biggest ripoffs in American history. We already know what this plan actually means. It's trillions in deficit finance tax cuts for the wealthiest in this country. $880 billion in cuts that will decimate Medicaid. Medicaid covers 80 million Americans, low-income people, the disabled, long-term care for the elderly, substance abuse treatment, and 41% of all births in this country. That's what's being threatened today and is part of this budget proposal. And that's not all, of course, with an additional $230 billion in cuts that also threaten food assistance. Now, this is one of the biggest wealth transfers from the poor to the rich in American history. And it comes at the same time that Donald Trump is destroying our economy with a crazy and erratic tariff agenda. It's a complete ripoff for the American people. Now, we should believe in a country where we take care of each other, where billionaires and big corporations pay their fair share, where everyone deserves food, health care, and an affordable place to live. Now, in our Homeland Security Committee today, truly disturbing things are happening. Now, even though border crossings are at an all-time low, which I remind the committee actually began under President Biden, we want to give Donald Trump a giant slush fund for his extreme, toxic, and lawless deportation agenda. Now, Secretary Noem currently spends much of her time dressing up as an ICE agent and doing propaganda tours of foreign prisons. Now, this bill would give her a huge budget increase with absolutely no accountability. And we know the administration is already trampling on the rule of law, and we shouldn't be voting to empower them today. I want to begin by also, under unanimous consent, introduce into the record a poll from Fox News showing that Donald Trump actually now has a negative approval rating on immigration. Mr. Chair?
So ordered.
And why is the American public turning on the president on immigration? It's because the president is now destroying our due process system in this country. In the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, there's a 9-0 Supreme Court ruling that is demanding his facilitation back to the U.S., and the Donald Trump administration is flouting the Supreme Court. Of course, they've admitted they made a mistake, and yet they still refuse to bring him back. In the case of Andrew Romero, who came to the border seeking asylum because he was fleeing persecution for being gay, he came to his appointment at the border that we gave him as a government, and then was taken to a foreign prison with no due process. This is not the country that we should be proud of in this system of immigration. We now have evidence that Donald Trump is deporting people with no due process. He's willfully denying and ignoring the Supreme Court. We cannot continue to afford to continue to spend more and more resources on a toxic, extreme, and unconstitutional agenda. Everyone here supports border security. If you're convicted of a serious crime, I think we can all agree that you shouldn't be here. But this does nothing to bring down the cost of living for working class and middle class families. We are empowering an administration that is attacking our Constitution, our safety, and our middle class, and we should vote no on these budget increases today. Thank you, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields. I now recognize Mr. Magaziner for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman. We need more funding for Homeland Security and border security. I